In 1977, after the huge blockbuster success of George Lucas's Star Wars, Hollywood's film studios were quick to greenlight new projects to cash in on movie audiences' new appetite for science fiction and fantasy. Over the next several years, a new wave of science fiction movies like Star Trek the Motion Picture, Alien, and Battle Beyond the Stars were released. There are also a slew of medieval fantasy films such as Conan the Barbarian, Dragon Slayer, and Excalibur. However, it was the unique blend of science fiction and fantasy elements in Star Wars that proved to be a major influence in the development of Krull. Hey everyone, I'm Brendan Kelleher. Released in 1983 and directed by Peter Yates, Krull tells the story of a prince who embarks on a dangerous journey to rescue his bride from an alien invader known as the Beast and his army of slayers. On the planet Krull, where magic is commonplace, two prominent nations have been at war with each other for centuries. An alliance is formed between the two nations to fight the onslaught of the slayers. To guarantee the alliance, Prince Krull, the son of King Gerald, and Princess Lysette, the daughter of King Eric, decide to marry. However, during the wedding, the slayers attack, killing almost everyone, and kidnap Lysette. Krull, the only other survivor, is advised by an elderly wizard named Ynir that the only way to save Lysette and defeat the Beast is to obtain an ancient weapon known only as the Glaive. The development of Krull began with the mind of screenwriter Stanford Sherman. Sherman had written such offbeat films such as the Clint Eastwood comedy Every Which Way But Loose. Not exactly the kind of pedigree you'd expect of someone writing a grand science fiction epic. Inspired by classic fantasy literature, Sherman crafted a captivating story that blended elements of science fiction, medieval fantasy, and adventure. His script introduced audiences to the world of Krull. Initially, the film was to feature magical dragons and was titled The Dragons of Krull. However, during pre-production, the film Dragon Slayer was released, which performed poorly at the box office. Dragons were now perceived by studios as box office poison, and the film was quickly rewritten to have these creatures removed from the story, and the film was simply titled Krull. Krull is a film influenced by many different sources. While critics at the time drew many comparisons with Star Wars, with its young hero who sets off on a quest to rescue a beautiful princess, an elderly wizard who mentors him on his journey, to an enemy who has an army of faceless soldiers, the hero being joined on his mission by a bunch of rogues, and the hero learning to use an ancient weapon long thought to be mythical. However, Krull is also clearly inspired by other sources, such as the classic stories of Robin Hood, J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, long before Peter Jackson's trilogy was made, and Excalibur. Incidentally, the 1981 version of Excalibur also starred a very young Liam Neeson, who appears here in Krull in one of his first film roles. For such a big budget film, Krull is very much a British production in terms of its cast, crew, and its approach. From director Peter Yates, who had helmed a number of classic Hollywood films like Bullet, to Derek Meddings, who had been visual effects supervisor on the likes of Thunderbirds on television, as well as several James Bond films, and had won an Oscar for his work on Superman the movie in 1978. The special effects team, led by Meddings, faced the daunting task of realizing the fantastical creatures and magical elements of Krull. Through a combination of practical effects and groundbreaking visual effects, Meddings and his team created memorable characters like the shape-shifting Changeling and the fearsome Slayers. Their work not only enhanced the storytelling, but also set a new standard for visual effects in the fantasy genre. The film's production designer, Stephen B. Grimes, meticulously crafted the landscapes and structures of Krull, combining elements of ancient mythology and futuristic technology. Grimes' attention to detail and his ability to create a unique cinematic universe played a crucial role in the film. Ken Marshall, the only American in the cast, plays Prince Krull. Krull had previously appeared in the epic TV miniseries Marco Polo, and did a great job here. He was an appealing leading man, and handled the fight scenes very well. This was his first major film role, and it's a pity his movie career petered out after this, possibly due to the film's poor box office. Besides Krull, Marshall is probably best known to science fiction fans as the misguided Maquis terrorist Michael Eddington in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Lysette Anthony, who was only 18 at the time, does well as one of the few female characters in the film. It's just a pity that she was dubbed over by an older American actress, Lindsay Cruz. Supposedly, this was done to make the film more appealing to American audiences. So here you have a lady in her late teens being voiced by an actress who was about 40. It's a little weird.
"'Tis you who are betrayed. Power is fleeting. Love is eternal."
It's a shame, really, as Lysette Anthony had a beautiful voice and would have added to the timeless appeal of the film. The cast on the whole is very good. There are a lot of great English as well as Irish actors in this. Some who got their big break here, like Robbie Coltrane. Krull was filmed on location in Italy and Spain, while much of the studio work was done at Pinewood Studios in England. While some of the film's effects work is dated, the film's use of practical effects, gorgeous location shooting, and swordplay has helped it stand the test of time. Vic Armstrong, the film's stunt supervisor, is a legend in the movie industry, due to his work on many famous productions, such as the James Bond, Indiana Jones, and Superman movies. Great practical stunt work will always be more effective than an over-reliance on computer-generated images, like in many of today's movies. One of the most memorable aspects of Krull is the musical score by James Horner. For me personally, the musical score is what makes this movie soar, and why the film still holds up today so many years after its release. Horner had recently become an in-demand composer, having scored his first movie with Battle Beyond the Stars in 1980, but it was his classic score to Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan which catapulted him to the big time, to join the ranks of heavyweight film composers like John Williams and Jerry Goldsmith. In fact, Horner was so in demand in 1983 that along with Krull, he scored no less than 7 films. Krull's ambition and scope alone would have taken up a lesser composer for an entire year, but Horner delivered, in my opinion, his masterpiece here. The music is exciting and heroic, tender and romantic, as well as dark and terrifying. It stands up for me, along with the great works that John Williams composed for the likes of Star Wars and Indiana Jones. Like Star Wars, one major aspect that the film was sold on was the main character's use of an ancient and mythical weapon. While Star Wars had the lightsaber, Krull had the Glaive, a kind of starfish-shaped boomerang that, despite being heavily featured in the film's marketing, actually isn't used until the climax. Nearly 40 years later, the optical and practical effects used for the Glaive still hold up today, and is very impressive. Another aspect of Krull that makes it so unique was that it was an original project. Much like the summer movie season of today, 1983 was full of franchise sequels like Superman 3, Return of the Jedi, and the latest James Bond adventure, Octopussy. Krull attempted to draw a blockbuster audience in a new way, without the appeal of big stars or franchise recognition. While its poor box office was most likely a result of heavy competition from sequel films, the sheer ambition of Krull and the lack of any sequels to it make it stand out. For a movie that was sold as a big fantasy adventure for the whole family, Krull is surprisingly dark and very violent in many scenes. The beast is like something out of a horror movie, and the slayers make a hideous screech when they die. There are also much better shots than Stormtroopers. This is also a movie that's going to scare you if you hate spiders. Really big spiders. Fun for the whole family. The themes of love and fate are at the heart of Krull. At first, it's easy to question how real the romance between Colwyn and Lysette actually is, given that their marriage appears to be one of convenience, and is partly taking place to secure the alliance. However, it's made clear that this marriage is their choice, not of their parents, and they do seem to like each other, so hey, why not? There's also the tragedy and doomed romance between Ynir and the Widow of the Web, which is easily the most emotional scene of the film. Despite their short screen time together, you really get a sense of the history and romance between these two characters. Now, the film does have some flaws. Yes, some of the film's effects have dated. Peter Yates' direction isn't particularly great, despite the film's high production values, and the film's pace does appear sluggish at times, particularly during the overlong swamp scenes, with Colwyn's Fellowship doing a seemingly endless amount of walking. The final half hour is very exciting, however. A lot of the characters that we come to care about meet their maker as they attack the Beast's fortress and attempt to save Lisa, and the final confrontation as Colwyn finally uses the Glaive to save Lisa and defeat the Beast is well worth waiting for. And in a unique twist, how that final battle plays out is actually rather unexpected and is foreshadowed during the early parts of the film. Despite its ambitious production and unique concept, Krull faced several challenges upon its release. The film released mixed reviews from critics, who praised the visual spectacle but criticised its story and character development. Additionally, Krull faced tough competition from other blockbuster films of the time, which hindered its box office performance, grossing only $17 million on a $30 million budget. However, over the years, Krull has gained a dedicated fan base and achieved cult status. Its blend of science fiction and fantasy elements, along with its memorable characters and imaginative world building, have resonated with audiences. The film's enduring popularity is a testament to its lasting impact on the genre and its ability to captivate viewers with its fantastical storytelling. So overall, if you haven't seen Krull and like sword and sorcery, particularly the likes of Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, then this is well worth checking out. Krull, over 40 years after its release, stands out as one of the most unique and exciting fantasy films of the 80s. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please give it a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Share it with your friends, click the bell for notifications, and let me know in the comments, what's your favourite fantasy film of the 80s? Most importantly, I hope you all look after yourselves, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye for now.